Hey everyone, what's going on? Kim here. So I went on Facebook and I asked my amazing Facebook friends if they wanted to do a Q&A. And the response was overwhelming. Oh my god, what did I get myself into? But I got my list. I'm going to try and do as best as I can. If I mispronounce some of your names, I'm really sorry. When I was going through and I was looking at them, I started to have fear and wanted to sweat. So, please do not take offense to it now if I mispronounce your name. I'm going to try and do as many as I can. I'm going to be as honest as I can. Thanks for the question, guys. This is amazing. So, let's get started. The first question I had was from Joe Miranda. Hope that's right. What's your favorite Mario game? And honestly, I'm going to say that the old school 1985 Super Mario Brothers was my all-time favorite. Quite often, while I'm doing stuff in the house, while I'm cleaning and stuff like that, I still do. And actually, my girls picked up on my habit and they now do it as well. It's very interesting. And you also had a second question. It says, what is your favorite Michael Jackson song? And I actually love the way you make me feel, the way you make me feel. You really turn me on, you really turn me on. You knock me off my feet, knock me off my feet. The lonely days are gone, my lonely days are gone. I like the way you make me feel. Let's see, Brandon Hill. If you could go back in time and change anything in your life, what would it be and why? Should have probably put this one more towards the end. Okay, I'll just do it now and get it over with. There's some things in life, you know, that kind of happen and they make you grow up quicker than you probably should have to. And there's some things in life that when those things happen, you don't want to talk about them. We should always talk about things, no matter what it is. And my thing, when I was 11, my childhood sweetheart, Chris McIver, met him at Congaree Elementary when I was in 4th grade. It's towards the end of the year. He was so cute, you know, hung around him. Then my dad tells us, you know, school literally had just ended, and he tells us we're moving. We were so pissed. I was so pissed. He moves us out to the country. We moved to Gaston. And about a month after we settled in, a trailer moved in 2 spots down, and it was Chris McIver and his family. What are the odds, right? So from that moment on, we were inseparable. Then Christmas, right after Christmas, I don't really talk about this with anybody except for family and therapist. A couple days after Christmas, he came to my house. We were playing in my bedroom. We were playing with a coin machine, you know, like the old machines. Well, they probably still have them, but who does it anymore? But the machines where you put like the change in and it sorts it out. Well, we were playing with one of those. I got one for Christmas. And it was noisy. So Mom was getting annoyed and she asked us to go outside and play. So we did. And when we went outside, my older brother and his friend, our next door neighbor, Shane, for some reason or another, they dug a giant hole, like deep. I mean, it was probably like this wide, but like really, really deep. Don't know why they did it either. It was on the side of the road. Like, I'm pretty sure they had plans of, like, hiding in there in the middle of the night and, like, throwing shit at cars because he's an evil bastard. But, we went out there and they were digging the hole. So Chris and I walked across the street to them. And we were checking out the hole and everything, and we both climbed in together. And it was awesome. We were pumped. We were like, oh my god, we fit this. I can't believe you guys are digging this. You know, we were young. He was actually a year younger than me. And he was 10, I was 11. And, he wanted to show my mom. He wanted to show my mom the hole. Alright, I'm going to try and do this quick. He wanted to show my mom the hole. So we got out. He helped me out of the hole. We held hands. We grabbed hands. We went to run across the street. And as we started running, I saw and heard a car. And I saw it out the corner of my eye. And I stopped. I froze. And I was holding his hand. And it kind of jerked him a little bit. But it snapped off. And he kept running, and I screamed as loud as I could. I screamed as loud as I could, and he kind of stopped in place, and the car hit him. He basically died that night on the pavement, and I was right there. I saw it all happen. If I could go back in time and change anything in my life, sometimes I tell myself, I've said it in therapy many times, I wish I wouldn't have screamed. Sometimes I feel like if I hadn't have screamed his name, he wouldn't have stopped and he'd have kept running. And maybe he would have made it across, maybe he wouldn't have. But then I wouldn't have the guilt that I do. That was almost 19 years ago. And it still hurts as much to think about today as when it happened. So, maybe out of selfish reasons, if I could go back and change anything in my life, that's what it would be and why. Mike Davis, what's one day in your lives you wish you can relive? Honestly, and it's recent too, is my wedding. I wish I could relive my wedding over. Because there's a few things I would change about it. First of all, at the last minute, Michael said to me, he ruined my wedding. By the way, Michael, I'm telling you, you ruined my wedding. Not really, but we were looking at the menu for this restaurant that I had chose. It was called the Red Coach Inn. And he's looking at the menu and he's like, you know, Kim, I don't really see anything at this place that really sounds good. So I look at it and I'm like, all of a sudden, like, panic started to set in. I'm like, oh my god, I don't really see anything in here that I would eat. And now if I go back and look at it, there's plenty of shit I would have ate. But for some reason at the time, he psyched me out and I changed the restaurant at the last minute. We found another restaurant. He's like, oh yeah, that one sounds good. It's this Italian restaurant. And we go there and it's terrible. The service was terrible. The food was terrible. I got lasagna, or what was supposed to be lasagna, but it was basically like a bowl of sauce soup with like this frozen and like de-thawed in the microwave piece of slimy noodles, and it was disgusting. It was disgusting. That's the only part I wish I could relive, because I always feel like that happened so quick and everything happened so fast, and you know, I wish I would have taken advice and slowed down. So Aaron, James, you had a couple questions for me. So we'll do the first one. Do you ever get embarrassed by the videos your dad is in on YouTube? No. Absolutely not. I say that because he's been like this my entire life. When I had friends over and stuff growing up, he would act like that. If we were ever out in a public area, he acts like that. That's how he is. So I'm just kind of used to it, and it's not exactly embarrassing. It makes me mad. Sometimes I'm just like, damn, can't we ever just have like a good time? It's more of that. It's not embarrassing. It's just more of an annoyance. Like, come on, why does we always have to end shit like this? So that's that. And then, Aaron, you also had another question. And guys, I should mention too that several of you kind of asked the same questions or the same forms of questions. So I kind of tried to bulk you together. So Aaron, yours actually goes kind of with John May, Brandon Q, and Kay Smith. You all asked, do you have any plans to meet with your dad and Michael again soon? Any plans for future vlogs together? You never know what the future holds. I would love to go home. Honestly, I haven't been home in well over 10 years. So it would be fantastic to go home. But with Kyle's schedule, he just took a new position with his work. So with his schedule and the flight cost and trying to figure out, you know, good times to go there, and the girls, you know, dealing with them. I mean, Lily was in school, so now we're limited to when we can do things. So I mean, it's hard. I do really want to go back, so just have to wait and see when we can make that happen. Jake Banfield, do you ever want to go back to Niagara Falls? Absolutely. I love Niagara Falls. Since I lived here in New York, I've probably been about a handful of times. But it's beautiful. When I'd actually really like to go back is in dead of winter, which sounds crazy, but I would really love to see the falls like frozen over and stuff like that. Like, I think that would be really cool. Jason Goss, how do you feel about the relationship between your dad and Michael right now? It always makes me sad, honestly. It's just a family thing, right? I want us to get along and get to, you know, just understand and be together, and, you know, it's just really hard. But I've also learned, as being a green, stay out of it. If it ain't with you, you don't want to jump in. You don't want to put your nose in there, because it only gets worse. I mean, I've tried and it backfires, trust me. So, you know, I do feel bad about it, but there's nothing I can do about it. They'll end when they want to end. Mason Miller and Kaylin Logan, what's the craziest memory you have of AGP? There are so many that it's really, really honestly hard to pinpoint them. But I will always say for me that one of the craziest ones was back when he was a drinking man. And he invited this woman, this elderly woman that we used to hang out with. We used to go to her house, and she made us cookies, and she taught us how to sew, and she was so sweet. And Dad invited her to seafood night and got completely shit-faced hours before she got there. So by the time she did get there, he fucking forgot he invited her. And she's sitting on the couch, and he comes in, he's like, fuck you doing here? Fuck she doing here? You here to eat all my goddamn seafood. And he was a total asshole to her. And yeah, that's the craziest, just because I couldn't believe he would do that even to a little old woman. Isaac Lee Gass, you're so awesome. What was Angry Grandpa's first thoughts on Kyle? Well, to be honest with you, Isaac, they weren't much. Actually, honestly, my dad did not like Kyle. I don't know if it was because, you know, me moving here, you know, he was still pissed that I had moved here, which we're getting to that. So he was still kind of pissed about that and everything. So, and Kyle, I guess he thought maybe was what was keeping me here. Because I think even though he was being an asshole and treated me like an asshole, and I was being an asshole and treated him like one, he still wanted me to come back home and didn't want to say it. And he thought, I really think he thought that I would crash and burn here, but fortunately, I have Kyle, and that didn't happen, so I think he really held a grudge on Kyle for that. So yeah, no, he didn't like him. And Kyle actually came to visit one time in South Carolina. And my dad thought he was a snooty pompous asshole because he stayed in the bedroom with me the whole time. Dad thought, well, he came all this way from New York and he's just gonna fucking spend time with you. He ain't gonna fucking spend time with the rest of the goddamn family. So, yeah, he did not like Kyle for a long time in the beginning. But now, Kyle is my husband and he is the father of my children. And my dad respects him for that and he appreciates that. And he's really thankful and grateful for everything Kyle has always and ever done for me and for our children. So, everything is fine now. But when he first met him, no, he didn't like him, and Kyle did not like my dad either. He thought he was a loud, obnoxious asshole. He thought he was a dickhead, and he thought he was rude and mean, and yeah, he did not like my dad either. So, and you guys kind of know that. So, there's that. Cory Blabber. Could we meet one day? Cory, I would love to meet you one day. If everything aligns ever in life at a time and we ever get the chance, I would love to meet you. I'd love to meet any of you. Wherever you see me, say hi. I love meeting you guys. So I would love to meet any of you. Just be cool. You know, like, especially if I'm with my kids. Be cool. Stephen Crossman. Will you guys ever want Michael and Bridget to move down there with you guys? Well, they would move up. But, I would love it, honestly, but I think they would be miserable here, stuck inside all that snow. Like, I honestly think they would just be totally miserable and would hate it here, so I wouldn't want them to be miserable. I'd rather them be happy in South Carolina and just have happy phone calls with them. Justin Dent. Do you think AGP or Michael go too far sometimes doing pranks? And have you ever took the kids to South Carolina to see the family? I'm going to answer the second question first. No. I haven't been home in over 10 years. So, yeah. They've never been. Now the first one. Do you think AGP or... I think everyone can go too far at times. Honestly, I think my dad kind of deserves a lot of the shit he gets. We went through hell growing up, so it's kind of only payback. You know, some people put their parents in nursing homes. We prank ours. Michael pranks ours. You know? This is kind of how it is. It's a rite of passage. I appreciate it, Michael, because I'm not there to be able to do it. So I appreciate you taking out the revenge. I owe you. Now this one's fun because Jesse Von Ink, Renee Weissong, Matthew Woodworth, Ann Parent, Woodrow Wilson Morris, Joey Cummings, and Leslie Butler. You all had a very similar question. How did you end up moving to New York, and how did you and Kyle meet? Okay. So, actually, Kyle and I met a long time ago. We met about 13, 14 years ago. My cousin moved to South Carolina to live with us. And one day when he was there, he was talking on the phone to an old New York buddy. I asked, oh, yeah, let me talk to him. I don't know why. Just wanted to talk, you know. So, it gets on the phone. It's Kyle. Started talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I can't even understand you. Can you put Chris back on the phone? I'm like, what do you mean I can't understand me? I'm talking perfectly normal. What are you talking about? I give Chris back the phone and whatever. So, but I had actually continued, as friendly, you know. He would pop up on, like, Instant Messenger through Chris's, because we would just always leave Instant Messengers up and shit. So he would pop up, and I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? I would talk to him. Never thought I would ever come here to New York, so it's not like I ever thought I would meet him. So then I got into a huge argument with my family. All hell broke loose. You know, Jennifer said something to Mom. It got back to Dad, but it got back to Dad that I said it, and Dad got mad at me, and Mom didn't defend me, and Dad kicked me out, and blah, 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 drum, drum, drum. So I left. And so my cousin was actually coming back here. All of my family was coming to New York to visit when he came to move back home. And I talked to my aunt and uncle, and I'm like, would you guys mind, like, please, if I can stay with you guys for a while, you know. They knew, you know, my dad from the past, so they were like, yeah, sure, you know, maybe thinking in their heads, well, maybe we can fix her. So I came here to visit, and the day after I came here, I actually met Kyle at my aunt and uncle's house, and he pulled up in a white Honda Civic, and for me, it was love at first sight. I immediately knew that I loved him. And here we are now, almost 12 years later, and married, 2 children, and still going strong, happily ever after. I still love him just as much today as I did then. So that is how I met Kyle. Okay, and Woodrow Morris, you also said, how old were you when you got pregnant the first time? I was 26. Andrew Sulzer, will you do the Charlie Charlie challenge again by yourself this time? I don't really see a point in doing it. I don't really know if all of that was working, or I really don't believe Kyle was blowing on it, but I don't really want to mess with any of that right now. Just not right now. Zachary Bellinger and Tony Skylark, what made you start YouTube? Honestly, what made me start YouTube was my little brother. He encouraged me to do it, actually. He said, you know what, Kim? He was like, it might be nice for everyone to see that there is a normal Green, and that you have a normal life with your family, you know, your beautiful daughters. But what really, for me, was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, was him telling me, if anything, you have memories. And that is very true. Because no matter what, if everyone stops watching my YouTube today and nobody likes me and everyone unsubscribes and, you know, nobody watches me anymore, I'll still have those videos to be able to show my daughters, and I won't stop. But I'll have these videos to be able to show my girls when they grow up, like, look, you know, this is what you did, or this is what you look like, or this is how you talked, you know, like, this is some stuff we did. Like, for me, you know, like, I have these amazing memories that I will always be able to share with my girls, and I love the thought of that, because we don't have shit like that. Like, we don't even really have pictures of us when we were little. So this is just something I think is really important for my girls to have. Arcos Reigns and Katie Sanders, what is your favorite sport? Are you gonna make shirts? And what's your favorite WWE superstar? I love baseball. I've always been a huge Atlanta Braves fan. But as I learned when you move to New York, they don't really air those. You don't really watch those anymore. It's hard to keep up unless you're using the internet, and kind of don't have time for all that crap, trying to keep up with who's traded, who's not. I can't keep up with it anymore. So now I'm a Yankees fan. Love you, Derek. Miss you. So yeah, I love baseball. Are you gonna make shirts? Yes, we are. We're working on it. We're trying to get them out. We have a few more things we need to do, and yeah, then we're gonna get some shirts going. And also, you said, what's your favorite WWE superstar? Brock Lesnar. Actually, I do love Brock Lesnar a lot. But if you want to talk old school, just the sexy boy, I'm not your boy tour. Shawn Michaels. Costa Tazarbis, I'm really sorry on that one. And Katie Sanders, will you plan on having more kids? Unfortunately and sadly, no. After Eliza was born, I did have a tubal ligation done. We just knew 2 children was financially it. That's all we can afford. We don't want to try and push limits. We don't want to deprive the children we were fortunate enough to have. We don't want to deprive them of having anything else by trying to squeeze another child into our lives. I would have loved it. I would have loved to have 7 more children, but Dave Freiheit, if you were to relive your childhood and rekindle with your dad, would you do that? No. I mean, I am rekindled with my dad. There are things I miss from my childhood, but I wouldn't want to do it over again. I'm happy where I am now. I'm happy with my children and my husband and my family. I'm just happy now. Anthony San Shi. I'm really sorry again. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers? Obviously, Pickle Boy and Princess. Also, I do like watching TJ and Friends. He's crazy. He's really nice. I hope things are coming along great with their little one. Also, I like watching the Two Wool Guys. They're just hilariously funny. You guys should check them out. And mostly because of Lily, we tend to watch a lot of Johnny and Zoe. Andrew Salter, will you marry me? Already married, but thanks for the offer. Josh Ferris, what is your dream vacation that you and Kyle and the kids want to go to? I think that's kind of hard because we all have such different tastes, I guess. Well, I mean, the girls really, they'd want to go to Disney. That's Lily's dream, is to go to Disney. But I still think they're too young for that. I want to go on a cruise. Kyle despises cruises. Kyle would just like to take day trips places, and I don't like day trips. So we kind of have like a different idea. But one thing we can always agree on is the beach. So I think maybe like Cape Cod, or, you know, he's been to Virginia Beach and Cape Cod and stuff. So, but I've never been to Cape Cod. I would like to go there. Roger Wright, I just want you to know that I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers. I'm very, very sorry about all of your losses. You are just having such a tremendously hard time, and very, very sorry for you. And everyone, if you see Roger Wright on there, you know, just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's had a really hard time. Michelle Pattenden, do you think Michael and Bridget should hurry up and get married and have kids? Absolutely not. And I say that, I love them, but I don't think anybody should ever hurry up and get married and have children. I don't think anybody should just rush into stuff because other people think they should. When the time is right, they'll do what they want to do. Toon Nugent, what would your advice when a teenager is saving money for something, or how did you and Kyle decide to have children? If you're a teenager, I'm assuming you probably don't have a bank account. I was going to say otherwise just get like a savings account, kind of like a Christmas one, that you kind of can't touch, and you just put money in there and you try and save it, and the bank won't let you take it out. So you can only take it out at like certain times or something like that. So that would probably be my best advice. That way you just can't touch it. Ziana Marie, what made you two decide on the girls' names? When we went to girls' names, we kind of popped through a few, and I was like, what about Lily Grace? And it had such a great ring to it, and when she was born, I looked at her face, and she was just so beautiful and sweet and tiny, and I'm like, she looked like a lily to me. So she got Lily. And then Eliza is actually part of my grandmother's name and my great-grandmother, and so I got that through them. But I didn't want to do Elizabeth, so I just kind of shortened it and did Eliza. Let's see, Cody Hickey. How does Kyle like being on YouTube now? Actually, I think he's warmed up quite a bit to it. Takes him a little bit, but I mean, I think with one of our last vlogs, the Leon Festival, I mean, he was just kind of, popping in and out himself. I think he's getting used to it. Jake Joshua and Logan Armendariz says, what's the best thing that has happened to you in your entire life? The best thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life is meeting Kyle. Honestly, I know that sounds like, oh, cliche, blah, blah. But no, that's honestly, the truth. Liam Ward, what have you always wanted, and did you ever get it? I did. I always wanted to be a mom, and obviously that happened. But it is. That's honestly all I've ever wanted to do, was be a mom. Jordan Keller asked me, how did you get into the Harry Potter series, and why do you like it? Actually, I've been a Harry Potter fan since the very first book came out. Honestly, I started reading it in school. I loved it so much. Brought it home, read it with Michael, and then Michael was hooked from that moment too. It's just, I can close my eyes when reading that book and I can just imagine everything she had just said. And it's just, she's such an amazing author, and she's so talented, and she's got such a brilliant mind, and Harry Potter just feels so real to me sometimes. And maybe as a child, you know, it was like my escape, like I want to go to Hogwarts, you know, but it's always been a deep love of mine, and I still love it, and Lily's getting into it, and that's cool. Who is Lily's favorite superhero or villain? That kind of changes daily. If you ask her, she'll tell you all of them. She likes all of them. But she mostly goes towards Spider-Man. Now, Sergio Gonzalez, you had 2 questions, but the first one kind of went with Jordan Keller's. Are you or Kyle going to get a Twitter, Instagram? I think I have a Twitter. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to really use it. All that hashtag stuff, I don't really understand. So I have a Twitter. Kyle just doesn't like using the internet. He doesn't care about social media stuff, so he really doesn't get on. But Sergio Gonzalez, you also asked, when is your birthday? My birthday is Monday, July 6th. So, yeah, happy birthday to me, almost. Edward Piva. Kim, I was wondering what part you miss most about being young, and if so, what was it? Honestly, what I miss most about being young is my brother. I miss my little brother. Growing up, it was always him and I, and he's always been the closest person to me in my life. I mean, I have Kyle and my girls, but throughout my entire life, no matter with arguments with my dad or my mom or cousins or aunts or blah blah, it doesn't matter. I've always been very close with him, so I miss him a lot. And last but not least, Zachary Holtzman says, do your kids know about Angry Grandpa's channel, and does Kyle like Grandpa? Also, did you ever talk back to Grandpa when you were younger? Now, my girls do know. Well, Liza is too young. Even if I told her right now, she wouldn't know what I was talking about. Lily knows he does, but she also knows that she's not allowed to watch it because he says a lot of bad words. Kyle likes my dad now. When they were in Philadelphia, actually one morning I was sleeping and he went downstairs and my dad was down there, and he and my dad had a long conversation, and they're great now. Also, did you ever talk back to Grandpa when you were younger? Yes, I did. And it never went over easy. But unfortunate for my dad, I was too quick. Michael and I were very, very fast as small children. So we would talk back, and then we would run, and he couldn't catch us. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think we all talk back to our parents, and it's something I'm dreading for my girls to get older for, because I do not want to deal with this whole talking back crap. Smacking their asses all the way up to their bedroom. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, so, guys, thank you so much. I hope I answered your questions as best as I could. I hope this got some of this out. This was a cool Q&A. I'm sorry if I pronounced some of your names horribly wrong. Please don't hate me. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Very cool. Thank you guys so much for all the questions. And yeah, so that's Q&A. Hope you guys liked the vlog. If you did, like, subscribe. If you didn't, like, subscribe. Have a good night, guys.